Speaking of evolution, I want to talk a little bit about quantified self. So Brock and I have been working on some projects for a little bit. We have I have a Jawbone Up, and you have a Fitbit Flex. And so what we've been doing is using our smart devices to connect these things to the cloud. And the clinical trials of the future, when smartphones and wearable devices are going to be involved, really open up an opportunity to say, why can't we use this in research when we want to collect information from a patient 24 hours a day, as opposed to at a single clinic visit in the schedule of a clinical trial? What if we had more data to look at? In the data management world, people might say, you need to justify every data point that you collect. I want less data. But in some cases, if it was made easier, more data can be better and provide better outcomes. You know about the whole white coat hypertension problem. You go into the office and get your vitals done, and you might have a higher blood pressure simply because you get worried going to the doctor, right? It's been a proven thing. And if you have your vitals taken at home, you might have a different outcome. We met Dr. Daniel Kraft yesterday, and he is the founder of FutureMed and a big proponent of Quantified Self. And he always talks about these things, vital signs in a box at home where we can do these things. To get to the point, Brock and I have integrated these devices to Medidata Rave, and they're trying to figure out a way to say, how does this stream of data come into a clinical trial? Now, this is all experimental, but can you talk about how we did that and what you think the future of that is?
Sure. So earlier we talked about the ECG integration and how we've interfaced the electrocardiograph we have installed in clinical with Rave. And so in a sense, that right-hand side of the interface was done. So we were pushing ECG intervals, we're pushing waveforms, we're pushing interpretation text into Rave. And then just sort of curiosity with the Quantified Self movement was, okay, I've got this new device. It has an API. What can I do with it? So that sort of leads to the left-hand side of the bridge. It's like, okay, well now I could do something with this data, and I already know how to push it into Rave, and just a little bit of a solution in search of a problem maybe, but the fact is it's possible, and what we wanted to do is just prove it. And so before the show, we created this proof of concept that interfaces with the Jawbone, the Fitbit, and the Nike Fuel. And so there's just a web application out there, which is tracker.spaldingclinical.com, that allows anybody to sign up and sort of register their device. And you're exactly right about the Rave piece. So Joe had helped me create this Rave form that encapsulates all of the Quantified Self data points, so steps, distance, but then there's variations between the different ones. So like Nike has fuel points, Fitbit has some arbitrary thing called like score, and then Jawbone has something else, but there's also a sleep component. So what we did is we took these forms and then basically programmatically pushed the data from these various tracker devices into Rave, and do so on a daily basis. So you've got a different day in Rave for a home monitoring visit, I think we call it. And then during the course of the day, it synchronizes roughly every 15 minutes with Rave, and so you can see the continuous stream of data into the EDC system. So
I think as we get more into the big data concept in clinical trials, this is going to become more and more important. And I think that we've proven the fact that technology is not the problem. We've been able to crack that. You've been able to develop an app for Medidata in a way that will aggregate the data and transfer it along in a meaningful way, where then people that are reviewing the clinical data at a pharma company, a sponsor, a CRO, can take that information and really do something with it very meaningful. It's a window into the subject's world. The remote monitoring concept has really become a reality. The tools are out there. We just need to push the limits and try it. And I think that as the regulators come on board with our ideas, I think that we'll be able to do this more and more in real life clinical trials. So watch for that. I think that's going to be a really big future piece of the clinical research world, and I'm glad that we're sort of at the brink of making that happen. And I'm really glad to be able to talk to us today. Brock, Randy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.